brother sibling movie.
Welcome, friends and chosen family, to Brother Sibling Movie, a podcast where two siblings, that's us, talk about movies we love from our childhood, and some we may be discovering for the very first time, like me, centered around a different theme every season. I'm your brother, Evan Kurta.
And I'm your sibling, Mare Morgan.
And this week's movie is Your Sister's Sister, an indie movie that makes us all realize what a destructive force and creative force tequila can be.
Sure is. And so this is season 2. Season 2's theme is, appropriately, siblings. Movies about siblings. Movies that center sibling relationships in all different kinds of ways. I watched this movie last night and I was like, aw, shit. I need to apologize to Evan. I forgot how kind of fucking sad this movie is in a lot of it. Whoops.
Well, I don't think you need to apologize at all. I don't think it's sad at all. Well, okay, at all is a little bit of a stretch for a movie where
Yeah.
the mainish character's brother has died. But no, this movie really won me over. I thought it was a really cute character exploration of a very non-traditional sort of relationship dynamic, and it's a great, yeah. You know, this is the journey movies take us on. You gotta experience the emotions to see what it's trying to say to you.
I know. I just like the first scene that one of the main characters we'll talk about this more, but you open on like his dead brother's like memorial service, and I was like, fucking forgot about that because we gonna strap in for dead brother stuff.
Ooh. Oh right, he's got a dead brother. Cool.
Whoops. Oopsies. But yeah, so let's get into it. Let's talk about our connections to the movie. So this was my suggestion for this season.
Mhm.
I
Indeed.
watched this movie pretty soon after it came out. It came out, I think it was released in 2011 at the Toronto Film Festival and got a wider release in like June of 2012. So I watched it sometime 2012-ish, probably. I was
Were
in
you
college at the
were you at
time.
CCA back then? Mm-hmm. Or were you
Yeah,
at
I was at
Lawrence?
CCA.
Nice.
No, CCA. You know, I was at California College of the Arts, being a 22-year-old, 23-year-old art student, watching indie movies.
Watching the mumblecore indie features, yeah, getting all those
Yeah,
suggestions from the weirdo art people in your classes, all the other
pretty much.
illustration
Yeah,
majors,
yeah,
all the video
exactly.
artists.
I didn't fuck with the video arts kids. They were weird as shit, and I did not like them.
They are video
They
arts kids
were
are strange.
they were very weird. I was like, I don't
Stay
want
away
to
from the
watch.
experimental animators.
It wasn't even. I mean, the animators just like you just literally never saw them. They just like didn't exist.
Right.
Because they were always in the animation studio, but the video arts kids were fucking weirdos. Because it was like, I don't really want to watch a movie or like a experimental like film piece that is just splicing you skateboarding through San Francisco with like images of like live hippo births with like crazy punk
Oh man,
music that's like I
art school should really prepare you for the professional world a little bit better.
it really should, because I was like, do you guys understand that there's like whole jobs of like being camera operators and editors and gaffers and lighting people? Like there's all of this stuff that is like highly technical, and maybe they learned that shit too.
Yeah,
I don't know, but it sure as shit did not
yeah,
seem like it, because I was like, this is bad.
yeah. Live hippo births set to angry punk rock skateboarding videos sounds like something I'd want to stab my eyes out to.
Yeah, I often did. But But anyway, what's your connection to the film?
So I've never seen Your Sister's Sister, and I'm glad I did. So I will be 100% honest. I'm going to be super embarrassed throughout the rest of this podcast because the more research that I did about all of this and learning about everybody, I realized that this movie and its director touched so many important pieces and parts of film history and influence, all of which I have never seen. So
I know.
I'm going to
It
come
was
off as a super bad film buff in this episode. I really, really hope that when I watch this episode again in 6 months, I am deeply, deeply embarrassed about my lack of knowledge of all of the things that led up to this. But I do want to talk about it because my minimal research has led me to a lot of things that remind me of like what a great inspiring figure Lynn Shelton is, the direct writer director of this movie, and hers
yeah.
and also the influences that she's brought to the table. Her story is really kind of interesting, especially not just for not just female filmmakers, but filmmakers of a certain age, which is a
Yeah.
foundation or an award named after her. People who started their filmmaking trajectory after their mid-30s. Her first movie didn't even come out until she was over 40. So just a very inspiring and touching the lives of a lot of people. Anyway, there's just so many connections with all these other pieces of
Yeah.
cultural history that I just skipped, and I feel bad about that. But I hope to take the time after watching this really great little movie to increase my knowledge of those. So I apologize, film buffs who know
Yeah.
more about this than I do. There's a lot to get into here, and I'm really excited that this movie was the one that started my journey down this I don't know
Oh,
this
good.
mumblecore track.
I love it. I mean, it's so funny. We'll talk. We're gonna kind of go a little out of order because this is how we normally do. We're gonna kind of talk about film stuff at the end of this episode as opposed to kind of up at the front because the story in or the characters of this film really are the main like meat and potatoes of what this film is about, and so I wanted to kind of start talking about the characters, but I will just say
I
Lynn
love it.
Shelton, Mark Duplass, Mike Birbiglia, all of these really
Birbigs.
incredible Birbigs. These people who this film was one of my first introductions to those folks, their filmmaking style and the kind of like small indie character driven film that's really like beautifully observed and well written and shot and directed and all of that stuff. So this is definitely this is like 100% my shit. These are the movies that I love that I come back to again and again. So
It's a
let's
very you kind of movie for sure.
I know. Do you want to do the JPT or should I JPT?
No, I will japete.
JPT,
Japete.
JPT. You
Japete.
son.
Japete. JP Chapete.
JPT.
Yes, here's our plot synopsis of Your Sister's Sister from 2011. Your Sister's Sister is a comedy drama directed by Lynn Shelton, starring Mark Duplass, Emily Blunt, and Rosemary DeWitt. The film follows Jack, played by Mark Duplass, who is struggling with the recent death of his brother. His best friend, Iris, played by Emily Blunt, so cute in this film. Maybe one of the few times I've actually been like, wow, Emily Blunt is very cute. Suggests he take some time alone at her family's remote cabin to process his grief. Okay, so Iris insists that Jack go to a cabin to clear his head a year after his brother's death. However, when he arrives, he finds Iris's sister, Hannah, Rosemary DeWitt, already staying there after a recent breakup.
Wow.
One night, literally the same night.
The same night that they
after,
meet.
yes, after a few too many drinks of tequila, Jack and Hannah sleep together. The next morning, Iris unexpectedly shows up, revealing her own unresolved feelings for Jack. Triangle. As secrets unravel, the trio must navigate their complicated emotions, sibling dynamics, and the unexpected consequences of their actions. With its mix of humor and heartfelt moments, Your Sister's Sister is an intimate exploration of love, grief, and the complexities of human relationships. And
And
ChatGPT.
and
Yeah,
GPT.
by once I was definitely getting in. I was definitely getting into the movie. I mean, I was a little reticent just because I was like, "Oh God, this is gonna be like a feel fucking movie and everything." But once and then I really liked when, but I really liked when Jack and Hannah were sort of getting to know each other, and that kind of they captured that really well. But once Iris showed
Yeah.
up after they slept together, I was like, "Oh, now we're cooking." Okay, fuck yeah.
Now we're
I was
fucking
like,
going.
now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with fire. This is gonna be great, actually. And I was like,
I
that
think
that's a good complication.
in your notes, I think you wrote, "Oh shit, Iris shows up. Drana! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point!" Like you meant to write drama, but it said Drana, and I was like,
Yes, yeah.
nicely done.
Drive doesn't auto correct your typos when you're typing in all caps. So Drana.
Drana. All right, so yeah, so we introduced the characters. So Jack, Mark
I
Duplass's
totally didn't
character.
start. I totally called everybody by their actor names. I could not remember people's
I
names except for Hannah.
I know. I was like, Evan, get
It's
your
like
shit together.
Mark, Emily, and Rosemary.
I know. I was like, Evan, they're actors. Anyway, so Jack
They don't
is.
mention their names that often.
They say them all the time. All the
Hmm.
time.
Well, didn't stick with me.
Whatever. Um, so yeah, Jack is, kind of late 30s, early 40s. He's a dude just kind of moseying through life. His grief is really getting on top of him. He obviously has a lot of complicated feelings about his brother and about his brother's death. Um, he's just like having a hard time. He just like isn't showing up for himself or for the people in his life in a great way. And despite that, Iris, played by Emily Blunt, who used to date Jack's dead brother, um,
Tom. I
Tom.
remembered his
Tom is the
name.
dead brother. Iris is this very loving, kind, compassionate person. She obviously has her own grief to deal with in the wake of one of her exes passing away, but she and Jack are really like great friends, and she shows up for him a lot, and gives him a lot of compassion, um, and a lot of love, and a lot of just like, hey, dude, you got to get your shit together. Like, you're not crushing it right now. Um, and then lastly, Hannah, played by Rosemary DeWitt. She is a sad, mean lesbian, which is great. I love a sad, mean lesbian. She's just gotten out of a long relationship, and yeah, she's I don't know. She's trying to figure out the next steps in her life. She's also kind of like probably like late 30s, early 40s. Um, and yeah, so we can chat about our thoughts about these various characters. Any
Uh,
thoughts?
I mean, I can't really relate to, you know, down and out late 30s man going through sad times. Don't
No,
know what that's like.
nothing.
I
I
like
don't think
I like his
I don't
hair.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of things in your life are a good analog for that
Mm-mm.
character.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
it's nice to have a fresh
He
perspective though.
right. He's I mean, it's interesting how he's played for anger. So, like there's
Mm,
just this anger underneath him about his grief. Like maybe he's angry that he has to process this grief and the passing of his brother, you know? Um, I think that, yeah, I realized that he might, everybody has kind of main character energy in this movie, I think,
Hmm.
which I think is a good thing. I don't think the
Absolutely, yeah.
movie makes an intent to focus too much attention on one person. It sort of follows the people, whoever you need to tell the story most effectively of all these three characters going through
Hmm.
something. But you know, you can make an argument that Jack is the main-ish character, and I find it interesting that uh, how much is revealed of him as the story goes on. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't think most of the movie he spends sort of in this odd situation of trying to not tell Iris about his dalliance with her sister. And it's not really until the end of the movie that you see him kind of processing the grief about his brother and kind of having feelings beyond anger about it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, there is always something charming about somehow just a dirty, grungy man trying his best to keep his shit together, but just not being able to process his emotions.
Just trying so hard. Yeah. And I know Jack is an interesting character because you get flashes of him outside of his grief, right? Like when he's joking around or when he and Hannah are drinking, like you get these instances of like, oh, this is who the man was like before this awful thing happened to him. Um
Hmm.
and it yeah, this movie is just has such great characterization. And I love Iris. She's so fucking stoked that her best friend, Jack, and her sister are meeting. Like it's you could just see like she's just like a cute, lovable, but not simplistic character. Like she just is those things. She just is all of that. And yeah, their relationship is very fun, but the relationship between the sisters, between Hannah and Iris, is really interesting because I when Hannah first shows up, I like didn't really like her. She has a certain like sharpness to her character
Hmm.
that is not immediately endearing, you
That's so
know?
funny. I I was I immediately thought, oh, this is the character that Mare identifies the most with in this movie.
I mean, of anybody, yes. I'm also can be a sad, mean lesbian, but mm, I think yeah, I think you kind of she's just ended a long relationship, like a 7-year relationship 2 days prior to showing up at this cabin. So I think it makes sense because, like,
Hmm.
hey, yeah, right after you break up with a long term partner, like, none of us are in the best headspace. Just saying, it's not a good time to be around. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, the three characters come in really fully realized as really complete human beings, none of whom are necessarily the main character, and yet all of them are the main character, and you get a really nice ensemble, and they all the actors also have really great chemistry with each other,
yeah.
which is exciting to see on film.
I think it's super interesting that the all four of the sort of main characters, so like these three and then Mike Birbiglia, who really only has
Hmm.
one scene, are all after within the end credit scrolls are all listed as creative consultants.
Yeah,
Um,
I noticed that too.
yeah, which makes sense because okay, I will not jump too deep into film stuff ahead of time, but one of um, Lynn Shelton's influences is Ingmar Bergman. Bergman was known for, especially later in his career, he even made a movie called Hannah and Her Sisters, where much of the dialogue is improvised, or he asks, and not for funny sake, but for like reality. He wanted sort of realistic dialogue, and I think that Lynn Shelton, in her way, probably took some uh, cues from that, because if they're all listed as creative consultants, I can only imagine that it was a situation, as you get to on indie movies, where everybody was kind of discussing the characters together. All of these people, I mean, Mark Duplass especially is sort of known for making his own movies with his brother Jay Duplass. So he's a writer as well, and like obviously Emily Blunt and Rosemary DeWitt are great actresses. Mike Birbiglia is a comedian writer, so it makes sense that they would have all kind of consulted about how to bring these characters to life and to let the improvisation,
Well,
I
but
don't
that's
think it's the typical way you think of it, a comedy show, but you like
no.
making things up and playing to the reality of the scene. And I think that, so it's interesting that that Bergman influence seems to be very in this filmmaking style of Lynn Shelton's.
Absolutely. And she is also kind of known for letting her actors improvise especially during group scenes. Um, which I think
Mhm.
is very evident because the dialogue, well, we'll talk about this more, but anyway, we'll put a pin in the film shit. Do you want to talk some specific scenes? I feel like the meat of this episode is kind of going to be near the end, but when we talk about like themes and things, but I want to talk about a few scenes that we both picked out. Starting with the very
Yeah,
opening
sure.
scene.
The opening scene, it's basically a group of friends gathered to remember Tom, Jack's brother, who died a year previous, and who Iris was also dating at one point. Um, Mike Birbiglia does a great sort of opening of like the the loving friend trying to do a tribute to a complicated person. Um, I think it sort of starts out with him lauding Tom, the dead brother's
Yeah.
many attributes, and but slowly uh, Jack comes in and, in his grief and fury, uh, wants to make it clear that his brother Tom was a more complicated person, that he had agendas and he was a bully and he had different things that didn't rise to the surface, that he didn't show everybody else. And I think that Jack has a bit of a, you could call it an outburst. He just sort of tries to bring a bit more, I don't know, truth to the proceedings as he sees it, and
Yeah.
trying. And what I liked about that was just him being kind of like, I want to get, like, I'm mad that my brother isn't here. I'm also mad that nobody else seems to know him the way I did. And I think that everybody needs to know that he was a full person who was frustrating and angering. He even gets mad that Mike Birbiglia's character says, "I don't think Tom was a dick." And this was a great little characterization line. Jack's like, "I didn't say he was a dick or an asshole," or whatever he says, which seems like such a sibling thing. Like, I want to talk shit about my sibling
Yes.
and say how frustrating and maddening and stupid and crazy they were, but don't you dare say anything about them that
It's so
reflects what I'm saying.
yeah, it, it's one of those things that I was like, that is such a good characterization of, right? Like your brother's died. You know that person better than anybody else. And so while, his friends might be finding comfort in remembering all the great things about Tom and might be, trying to sort of look at it through like his life through rose colored glasses and bring up the best parts, which obviously that's what people do, when you're eulogizing someone or memorializing them. But I think it was
There's a time and
really
place for these things.
right, but I think it was really cool because exactly what you're saying. Like, Jack misses Tom in a way that nobody else can ever understand. Because it's like, yeah, don't
Hmm.
fucking sugarcoat this. I love him and I get to talk shit about him and I get to say that he was a full person, but that's my relationship with him. Nobody else owns that. Nobody else knew him when he was 10. Nobody else knew him, when we were shitty teenagers.
And of course, underlying this is that the thing that we the audience don't know yet, but Jack is also probably uh, fighting with his feelings of being attracted to Iris.
Oh
He's
yeah.
like even a year out from his brother's death, he's probably thinking, I really like this girl. She's like my best friend, but I really have more interested feelings in her. Is it even like I'm angry that like because I get it, right? Like it feels like something you shouldn't do. It feels like a betrayal of and a betrayal of
Yeah.
someone who you're not around anymore to talk about it with.
Yeah, you
So I
can't
can
talk
see
it
him
through.
also being very frustrated, yeah, about that aspect of things where he's like, I really would love to date Iris, but it just feels wrong. And of
Well, and you
course, the
don't
whole movie then begins to unfold about, you
yeah, and
know,
you get we don't
doing
know
exactly
how
that thing, and maybe how it's not as bad as you think it is.
yeah, you don't know how long
Sorry, I
ago
talked over you.
Iris and Tom broke up, but you get the sense it happened like several years prior to this, but they kind of like
Oh, really?
I,
Yeah, I
that
guess
was
so.
the
I guess I thought it felt like it happened more or less right before his death, or like 6 months before his
I
death.
mean
But
maybe,
maybe
but there
I'm
was a little bit
misinterpreting.
of it felt like there was some time between him passing away and them breaking up. Um and
Yeah, Iris would be more sad or ashamed or something like that if it had happened
yeah,
right
like
right before.
yeah, she kind of has processed it and whatever. And just yeah, she does come after, Jack's sort of outbursts, let's say. She does show up with a lot of compassion and a lot of humor and also just a lot of like, dude, you're being an asshole and you have to get right.
The closest person to knowing someone with the same exactitude as a person, as your sibling, is someone that you've dated for a long time. Because
Yeah.
I'm sure Iris is looking at this like, yes, there's a reason I broke up with him. Tom could be a dick. And she's
Yeah,
like, she
exactly.
gets it.
No, for sure. For sure. They both have a specific relationship to this person that they've both lost that is probably different than the way that his friends saw him. And
Yeah.
I would say that, probably a complicating factor in that was that like if Iris started having feelings for Jack when she and Tom were dating,
Hmm.
that's a complicated situation. And but Iris and Jack are both kind of you get you get the sense of their connection and their love and how much they care for one another and this sort of like I think I'm in love with you, but also this is like a super awkward situation, so we're just not gonna deal with it and we'll just be fine. But Iris is the one that says, like, hey, you need to get your shit together. So you're gonna go up out into the like islands off the coast of Washington State where we live. Go stay in this cabin. It's my dad's
Go out,
cabin.
go to the
Just
forest.
go stare out a window, don't do anything. And I was like, I want a friend to tell me to go to a cabin and stare out the window and do nothing. That sounds fucking fabulous right now. That would be great. Could you imagine, Evan? Let's get a cabin in the woods and just stare at nothing. How does that sound? I think it sounds fun.
I could really use staring at nothing right now. That would be great.
Fucking me too, man. Me too. So then that sort of brings us to this Jack and Hannah meeting each other. And the next scene that we both wanted to talk about was motherfucking tequila, the devil's drink, bonding over trauma and downing an entire bottle of straight tequila, which I was like, how have neither of you vomited? I can't.
Tequila, turning sad lesbians into dick gobblers.
I want to make.
I know that the tone for this particular podcast is to be kind of like somber and reflective and understanding, but like I don't know. I'm definitely fighting a few jokes. We had such a good time making a bunch of goofs last week. So anyway, let's keep going.
I know this is such a tonal shift from
not call this sad lesbian a dick gobbler. I'm so sorry, everybody. But tequila, it is the devil's drink. It makes you go against your. Although it wasn't. She actually. Anyway, we'll get to that.
And they're drinking.
She had plans.
She had plans. They're drinking gold tequila as well, not silver tequila, like clear tequila, which for some reason, I don't know why, but like gold tequila that shit is a recipe for like taking off your clothes and running through a soccer field near your college after having scaled a fence at 1 a.m. I'm not saying this is a specific example, but it could be for other people.
Right. Tequila is the most tequila on its own is the closest thing that we have to a naturally occurring Red Bull vodka. It gives you the strength of 10 men.
It gives you the strength and confidence of 10 men.
I just mean that it gives you the dampening downer and the upper, you know. It's like you get
wild
both.
Shit. It's wild shit. And also, you know what? I love calling mean sad lesbians dick gobblers when they've had tequila. I think that's really funny. I think we shouldn't limit ourselves on this podcast. All of our other free speech is being taken away. We have, you know what? We will always have dick gobblers. God damn it. Anyways,
we should make a game called Gobblers and Goblins, and it's a fantasy movie about goblins. Yes. Also making an adventuring team with tequila drinking lesbians.
Fuck yes. So this whole scene, right? Jack and Hannah have met. They've kind of navigated this weird, like, why the fuck are you here? Why the fuck are you here? Thing that's a very, difficult interaction. And when Jack first shows up,
Hannah's a little bit of a creeper.
Jack's being a little bit of a creeper. Hannah's walking around the house just in like a t-shirt with no pants on. He's like, okay, I will leave tomorrow, but like, can I go to sleep for tonight, please? And yeah, fine. And then they both end up being awake in the middle of the night, like a couple of sad late 30s-ites. And they're like, hey, you know what we should do? Drink tequila because we're both sad and super mentally stable people.
It makes perfect sense. They're both looking for a connection, are kind of sad. There is randomly a person, attractive enough person. I mean, whatever. Rosemary DeWitt is very attractive. Mark Duplass is also a good-looking dude, but he's just, he's also like derpy man. Sorry. Jack is a derpy man. Jack is clearly characterized to be kind of like
a bit of a, yeah.
Like, he's worn that t-shirt for 3 days, like.
Yeah, it's very funny, and their interaction, I think
this scene got me laughing. I was like, oh, this movie's gonna be funny.
Yeah, I also think there is something very freeing for both of these characters in being able to talk about the shitty thing that's happened in their life, a recent breakup and a recent death, with somebody that doesn't
Hmm.
really have the same context as other people in their life, right? This is the first
Yeah.
time they've met each other. They're aware of each other. They
Yeah.
know who the other person is, but they don't have a
Yeah.
direct, like, Hannah doesn't have a direct connection to Tom. Jack doesn't have a direct connection to Hannah's ex-girlfriend, Pam. P.S. Fuck Pam.
Yeah.
It, so there is a freedom in what they're able to kind of just dive right into in this conversation. But it is very funny, and the dialogue is so good in this scene because it is very real life, probably highly improvised. Um, but yeah, it's a very exciting, funny. Exciting might be the wrong word, but I don't know. Good chemistry around across the board on this one.
Yeah, I think that they captured this particular moment really well for all of the reasons that you just listed off. They're very good at getting the fact that they don't know each other makes it easier for them to connect and get that. I guess what I'm trying to say is the actors do a really great job of portraying that sort of drunken falling for a person, falling for a new person who you can kind of immediately open up to. Somebody who knows just enough or has some kind of similar life experience where you just start talking. And I really liked the turn that uh, Jack makes, that Mark Duplass is the actor is able to pull off really well, where he goes from that moment that I'm sure everybody has, but like as a guy, I identify with this, where like you take a turn where you're like just drunk enough where you're like, I think it's okay to drop in that like attractive to me, and like I'm gonna
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna like slyly put it in there, be like your butt's cute, haha, whatever. I'm not thinking about it, but I am, haha, whatever, and it's sort of
oh
like
yeah,
you try you try to ride that line even in the drunken state to kind of like make it flirty and not creepy.
creepy.
And it's like I think I can do this. I think I can pull this off. I'm not going to push anything. I just want to let you know, like, yada yada. So I thought he did a great job of that, and then she does a great
Yes,
job of sort of like picking that up and rolling with it, especially with the things about her character
right,
later on.
right. Being a lesbian, and I, so
Well, being a yes, wanting a baby.
she is sort of in this. Both of them are a little bit in this fuck it stage of their lives, which I think is partially why
Hmm.
Jack is like, "Your butt's cute, not thinking about it. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not thinking about it." And Hannah's kind of like, "Hold on a second, you might fit my purposes, actually." And so when she's kind of like,
A
"Hey, like,
scheming drunk lesbian.
I again, is there any other kind?" I'm just gonna say that about every single like qualifier for lesbian.
Lesbian thing.
Um,
Is there any
I
other
love
kind? It sounds like there's a
I love
lot
my
of kinds of
community.
lesbians.
There are. It's
Yes,
a
I
varied
cannot speak to it. I
yes.
know plenty of
Um,
lesbians, but I shall not speak to that aspect.
oh my god. But when they do end up being like, "Hey, we're gonna
Says the guy who called a tequila drinking lesbian a dick gobbler 10 minutes ago. I'm so sorry. I
let
apologize to film buffs and sad lesbians everywhere.
we you know what? Allyship can look different on different people, Evan. So they sleep together
Moving on.
in the most hilariously underwhelming sex scene I've ever seen on camera. It was so bad. Like, it was so bad. Um, and
It
there's like
was
this.
it was it was rough. I had to close my eyes.
Well, and you know how most of the time it's sex scenes, right? Like, they're kissing and falling into bed, and maybe you get some, but then it like cuts away and goes to the next morning. This films the entire sex scene, and it takes about 2.5 minutes, if we're being really generous. And like 90 seconds of that was spent looking for a condom.
Jack hasn't had sex in at least a year, you know?
At least. He
If not more.
shoots so fucking quick. Like, not even. And I'm like, here's my PSA, everybody. If you are a straight man who is sleeping with a lesbian, you better blow her fucking mind, because she is used to things like foreplay, orgasms, clitoral stimulation, aftercare. You need to bring not even your A game. You need to bring like your A++ game if you're gonna fuck a lesbian, okay? You can't like pump for 10 seconds and come and you're like, thanks, you're really
Preach.
pretty. Straight men, you shouldn't be doing that to anybody that you're sleeping with. Like, take a cue card from the lesbians on that one. But just like, boy, oh boy, you can. And like, Hannah is just so like, I got this look on her face is basically one of, really? Like, first time I've had dick in probably 20 years, and
Yeah.
that was it, huh? Like, well,
Oops.
that was bad.
Womp womp
Yeah,
is the sound I'm going for.
Womp.
I don't know if I have too much to add to that discussion. It's a very awkward sex scene. Every guy knows that situation. You're just too excited, and everything falls apart, and all you can do is apologize. But you know, hopefully you learn. Hopefully you learn to anticipate moments like that as you. Hopefully you learn to anticipate moments like that and preempt the person. Like, first time's not going to be great. Second time's going to be awesome. I promise you.
I promise.
So stick around. I promise.
Stick around for part 2.
Stick around for the sequel. This is a rare occasion where the sequel will be much better than the first movie.
Yes. Oh my god. But then like Iris shows up the next morning, and of course they're like hungover as shit. They wake up in the same bed. Like, Jack and Hannah wake up in the same bed. Jack sees Iris outside and immediately is like, oh, right, I remember now. I just fucked my best friend's sister.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh shit.
Like I said at the top of this podcast,
Oh shit.
I was like, oh, now we're cooking. I was like, oh, this is good. This is gonna get really good from now on. And when he runs out and is like immediately like, Hannah's like, what? She's like barely awake and doesn't know what's going on. And he's like, I'm gonna go out. It's gonna be like I've been on a run. And then he goes out and pretends to have been on a run while Iris comes in. And when Iris comes in after greeting Hannah, he's like, it's like he shot himself in the face with a hose. He's like so sweaty. It's
so
the
bad.
funniest thing. I was like, oh my god, this is the perfect. Yeah, he did a really good job as this character of like the overcompensating male who's just derpy, who's like just charming enough to pull it off, but is just like has no like just is thinking too fast, you know. And oh my god, him walking
he's,
in just
running around
completely drenched. What did you do? Did you go for a 3-hour run? Like, what the fuck just happened, dude? So funny.
I know, it was so fucking funny. And like, and Hannah's kind of like, okay, like, I get, like, whatever, we can just, because Jack's like, where's the condom? Like, we've got to throw it away. And like, oh my god, like, blah, 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 like going at a mile a minute. And Hannah's kind of like, we could just like forget about that even happened, because I'm sure, I mean, if I was her, I'd be like, we barely had sex, okay? Like, calm all the way down. Like, it wasn't like we had a memorable night together and we're falling in love or anything. Like,
exactly.
That was a highly disappointing experience.
We got drunk and had sex for 45 seconds and then fell asleep. And with the introduction of Iris into the picture, I think it sets the movie up to start being really a wonderful, wonderful character analysis of these people and this particular triangle, which is a perfect kind of movie setup. Definitely a great indie movie setup of like, let's think about all the kinds of let's think about a specific kind of relationship that you have with people in your life that you're very close to, and what happens when something when events conspire to mess with or alter the social dynamic of that particular kind of relationship and force you and everyone around you to start seeing them in a different way that you weren't prepared for, because that is where conflict comes in, and that is perfect fodder for, you know, character pieces. It's the fun stuff of drama, right? Let's think about how to make these what we all have some experience of, a best friend, a sister, or, you know, these types of relationships that we are familiar with, and how do we mess with those archetypal sort of relationships and play the reality of what happens when a monkey wrench is thrown into that sort of situation. We'll be right back with more Brother Sibling Movie.
Hey folks, if you are going to be in Santa Rosa, California on May 3rd, we hope that you join us, Meredith at least, and Evan will be there too, both Mare and Evan, for the Santa Rosa Zine Fest. It is the 5th annual Santa Rosa Zine Fest. It is a conglomeration, a celebration of artists, writers, content creators, people that are doing incredible things in print media. It will be taking place on May 3rd, 2025 from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Northwest Sonoma County Library, located at 150 Cottingtown Way. We hope to see you there. It is a great time. There will be live screen printing. There will be workshops. There will be over 80 artists showing their content and their exciting things that they want to bring to you, to the world. It is all ages. It is free to attend. Again, Monday, May 3rd, Santa Rosa Zine Fest. You can find us at santarosazinefest.com. We hope to see you there.
And can I just say, as a creator of zines myself, this is one of the great opportunities to meet new and interesting upcoming artists in the field, in the Bay Area, in the Greater Bay Area, in the North Bay. It is one of the few, dare I say, only Zine Fest that is free to attend and free for artists to participate in. The Santa Rosa Zine Collective puts a lot of hard work into the efforts to get you, the great public, informed about interesting, good topics, and to share zine makers and artists' work with you. So definitely come and check it out. It is a cornucopia of great art on display and good old-fashioned community, person to person.
Ooh boy, it's community all day. You can also find it at Santa Rosa Zine Fest on Instagram. See you there.
Thank you for sponsoring us, Santa Rosa Zine Fest, and your great contribution of $0. But we love you so much. So come out and enjoy what you got to see on May 3rd.
$0 is our budget.
We'll see you there.
And we're back.
Before we start on part 2, if you are watching this on YouTube, I do just want to let our viewers know that Evan and I are both wearing jean jackets, and it is on purpose.
The Mark Duplass special.
The Mark Duplass special. We were like, Evan showed up wearing a jean jacket, and I was like, oh, you look like Jack. And then I was like, wait, I should go get my like hoodie and jean jacket combination, and we'll both wear jean jackets for the episode. And it was like super dorky and funny. And then I realized we never said anything about it.
Yes.
Only if you're watching us, though. It doesn't impact the audio, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be as close to a Duplass brother as I can. And yeah, in my notes, I wrote,
I know.
as I saw him roaming around on his bicycle with his like dorky helmet and his
Yep.
maroon hooded sweatshirt, and his jean jacket combo with his jeans and his like dirty hiking shoes. I was like, I have exactly that outfit. I have
You know
all of that
what?
stuff.
I also have exactly that outfit, and unlike normally when you and I show up somewhere and are wearing the exact same fucking thing, this one was intentional.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we planned this.
We did.
You know, as long as we're on Mark Duplass, I'll tell my Mark Duplass story. It's not all that
Please,
interesting, but
please.
my ex Rachel and I were hanging out at the Silver Lake Reservoir in Los Angeles one day, and there was this really cute bunch of kids selling lemonade in the park, and they were like,
Uh-huh.
5 cents, please. And I was like, oh my God, like I never
I would
see
love,
kids selling
yes.
lemonade anymore. And then their dad came up to them to encourage them to talk more with us and say things, and it was Mark Duplass. And I was like, "Whoa,
What?
these are Mark Duplass's kids, and that's Mark Duplass. So cool!" And we were like, "We just got lemonade for Mark Duplass's kids. That's so cool." So
That's so
that's my
funny.
story. That's my story. I was like, we were like, "Oh my God, that's so cool." And then
Wow,
we chatted with him for a second. We're like, I mean, it's really good lemonade. Did you help him with it? And they're like, no, they made it themselves. And we're like, well, you did good. You did a good job. And we were
hey,
both too fucking like, oh, we love your work. You're so good. And you know, we were just too awkward to go there. But we had a nice everyday chat with him, and it was great.
celebrities, they really are just like us.
Yeah, it was just nice to know that he was encouraging his kids to do a very not LA thing, like sell lemonade to people for 5 cents.
I know, I love that. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it was great.
Oh, that's so good. Well, all right, so we're back in talking about your sister's sister.
Yeah, my sister's
There's
sister, your sister's
your
sister,
sister's sister.
Hannah and her sisters.
No one knows. So there's these two-ish, three-ish scenes. So uh there's this dinner scene where the three of them are all sitting down having dinner, and
As you do at dinner.
as you do at dinner, and it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie actually, because you get not just obviously how close Iris and Jack are, where he's like giving her a hard time about the guys that she dates, and she's kind of giving him a hard time. You also get the dynamic that Iris and Hannah have, where they're kind of talking about their dad and the that relationship that they have, and kind of doing the same, like gently ribbing, the way that you and your siblings or you and your best friend talk, where it's like you're giving each other shit, it's all said with love. But
Mm-hmm.
then this kind of imperceptible shift happens where Hannah brings something up, and it obviously makes Iris mad, and it fully derails the evening. And it's something that's happened in their past. It is one of those things that kind of happen with siblings sometimes, of where you're kind of like joking around, having a fun time, and then someone says something that's half joking, but is kind of meant to embarrass you or be hurtful,
Yeah.
and it like fully
You're like,
fucks up the vibe. Like fully fucks
yeah,
up the vibe.
yeah. It was like, it's time for me to get one over on you. Oops, I made everything worse.
Right, exactly. And it's a great scene. It's great. It has great chemistry, and you also get kind of the resolution after the fact of Iris at that night, like going into Hannah's room and like getting into her bed and being like kind of, annoying little sister.
Mm-hmm.
But again, in the way that siblings often do, it's like, hey, I know that you made me mad, but I also like you also made me mad. We don't have to go directly at it. We can kind of start out with being like silly and then be like, hey, I really hate that story. Like, that was really
Yeah.
fucked up that you said that. And it's like, I know, I'm really sorry that was fucked up. Like, hey, it was really fucked up what you said too. Like, I know, I get it. And it's very sweet because it's like, that is, I feel, very accurate to how sibling relationships often are, right? Where it's like, it's a different type of apology that I think I would make to, at least me personally. I was like, yep, that's accurate to, I wouldn't like go to a best friend or maybe like my two best friends who are essentially siblings at this point. Um,
Right.
but I wouldn't go to like a partner or a friend or a colleague or something with that same level of like,
It's like the time between being mean and being honest and apologizing is like quicker.
it's so fast. It's
You're
so
just
fast.
like you're just like I know what I did. I'm sorry. I know you hate that. I do hate that. Cool. Fuck you. I love you. The end.
I know. I mean, I feel like when you and I have had those moments, like it's usually been like in the same conversation. It's like as soon as one of us
Right.
says the thing, it's like, and it's, I'll be honest, it's usually me that says the upsetting, shitty thing. But it's like, it is such a quick, like, oh, I fucked up and like, we need to just fix this. But it's, yeah, it's very sweet. And oh, I remember when
Yes.
Hannah gets up from the table after she's kind of like, fuck you both, right? Like, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
She is obviously very upset, but she still like gives Iris a hug and a kiss goodnight and says, I love you, but I don't like you.
Oh, yeah. That's a great line. I love that.
And I was like,
I was like,
that
I
is so accurate to
some
siblings sometimes.
some days I feel like that with literally everybody in my life, not just my sibling, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I love all these people in my life and I just don't like any of them right now. And it was just a great encapsulation of that feeling, especially as it was directed at her sister, you know?
Well, and it's and having the thing of like, I feel like with siblings, yeah, there's nothing that there's very few things that you could do to like permanent, like in the same way that maybe a partner would say something or a friend would say something and you would be like, actually, like fully fuck you, like what is wrong with you?
Hmm.
With a sibling there is sort of this thing of like, that was shitty and I can't not love you, you absolute dickhead, but like I don't have to like you right now. And
Hmm.
yeah, and I just love that.
I think when it comes to those awkward moments with a sibling, and it's usually in like a social situation,
Oh yeah.
like it has to do with. I mean, it really comes down to in an essence, it comes down to like shame and jealousy or something, some
Absolutely.
combination of those things, right? Like because okay, so not to ruin anything if you haven't seen the movie, but we're gonna get there anyway. But like Hannah is trying to get pregnant, right? And so that's in the background of like what's going on with her. And she is sort of like part of the reason she's being shitty is because she knows that she's fucked up by sleeping with this guy who Iris has not straight up told her, but in the interaction, I think she is starting to understand, like, oh, Iris actually really likes this guy. She's like, I fucked up sleeping with him. This should not be my secret sperm surrogate. But she's probably also just post breakup of a 7-year relationship is sort of like, I'm mad that my sister has this connection with this guy that I was starting to have a connection with. Whether or not I want to be romantically involved with him, I also had a connection with him and I'm feeling jealous about that. I'm feeling angry that I'm at this place of my life. And like Iris comes in and it's like, I mean, you and I have both been on both sides of this where you're just like, oh man, this person like is like my life is shit and this
Oh
other
yeah.
person who is connected to me is like doing so great or like is so squeaky clean. I
Oh,
mean,
it's infuriating.
in the situation with Hannah and Iris, it's like here Hannah is like, I'm heartbroken. I'm trying to get things that I want out of life. I sort of, went for it and slept with this random guy that just I had a whatever connection with, and it was fine or whatever. It was not fine. It was less than fine, but it was whatever. Um, and and then here comes in Iris, who is like squeaky clean and lovely and very and super cute and just like very like vibing with good energy.
Yeah.
And I think that Hannah is also, let's not forget, probably pissed off and angry at Jack because Jack is like, we shouldn't tell her. Like, we should
Oh
keep this a secret. Like, we should whatever. And of course, Hannah's like, this is my fucking sister. Like, who do you
yeah. What the
get
fuck,
to
dude?
dictate what I tell her and don't tell her? She's not going to care. And she is now caught between this rock and this hard place of like trying to be sweet to her sister and jealous of her sister and angry that she fucked up, ashamed that she did this thing to a person she's starting to get the feeling that her sister really likes, and having to like keep this secret for Jack, and not just keep the secret for Jack but also just keep this secret because of what she wants to do, right? Like secretly have this surrogate baby with his sperm. So it's a really great scene for all of them, especially Rosemary DeWitt, though, because she, as this actor, this character, is carrying so much inside of them. And yeah, in those moments, that tends to be the moment where you burst and do something angering or embarrassing towards somebody that you love, And it definitely happens with friends too that you're really close to. And I think it just happens more, it has the capacity to happen more quickly with siblings because because you're just like, I can do this with you, it's like
Yeah,
more
because
immediate or whatever.
well, and you also know like exactly how to fuck with them and like exactly the thing that like they're the
Right.
most like I know exactly the thing that you're the most like insecure, embarrassed, ashamed of, whatever. Like I can exactly push those buttons. And it
Yeah.
is always like an immediate lash out and then you regret it instantly.
Hmm.
And I think it's that night that Hannah confess or Iris confesses to Hannah, excuse me. Iris
Hmm.
confesses to Hannah, like, I think I'm in love with Jack. And I have been for a while. And so
Hmm.
then, like, the next morning at breakfast, Iris again is like coming in with the good vibes as her sister is making what look like atrocious gluten-free vegan pancakes, which I was just like, in what fucking world? I was like giving lesbians a bad name because I have made really good gluten-free vegan pancakes, and those were
Yeah,
not
those
them.
those pancakes looked like piles of doo doo.
Oh
They
my
were.
god, they look so bad. And Iris and Jack are like eating them and trying to be like, they're delicious. Oh my god, they're so good. Oh, I can't get away. They're so amazing. And Hannah's like, wait, these are shit, you guys. Like, fuck this. Um, but so over breakfast, as Iris is coming in with these good vibes, she's kind of talking about to Hannah of like, I'm so happy that you dumped Pam, and like I haven't seen you this happy in a long time, and you can do whatever you want now. You can travel, you can do art, you can have a baby. Like you've always wanted to have a baby, and like just like who even cares? Just like go out there and like hook up with a random guy like at a bar, who gives a shit? Like just like have there's sperm banks online. And
As soon as she said that, I paused the movie and I was like, to check the time, I was like, there's a half hour left in this movie. She's fucking full on pregnant. I was like, okay. And then I played it again.
it,
I was like, how much time do we have left in this movie? And then I was like, great. Okay. Now I know where this is going.
so of course, as Iris is saying all of this to be like, I'm a supportive sister and I want you to get the things out of your life that you want. Both Hannah is like, fuck, 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 at the same moment that Jack is going, fuck,
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 fuck.
fuck.
Yeah.
He's also like, wait
Yeah.
a second. And so
I don't know what's wrong with me, but like these are the things I live for in movies where it's like, but I mean, I guess that's what, it's just, I don't know, as a person who loves movies, like the thing that you love is seeing dramatic complications that get harder and harder for the
yes,
characters to dig themselves out of, whether that's a physical whether that's a physical feat. I mean, that's why Jackie Chan movies and Indiana Jones movies are so great. Like action movies where the hero is constantly getting thrown into
yeah.
worse
How are you
situations,
gonna?
and they have to crawl out of them. And like this is a similar thing, but with like but with the awkwardness of human relations, where it's like this situation is getting deeper and deeper into like, oh shit, like what the fuck do we do now, and I just
And
love those complicating factors in drama. It's what makes it come alive.
yes, and it's also just like good writing and good storytelling, right? Like if you don't push your characters to the edge, there's nothing for them to come back from, right?
Yeah.
So you have to
Mhm.
make your characters really uncomfortable and put them in these hard situations. And then
Yeah.
so like Iris and Hannah go on a walk after, at which point Hannah confesses to Iris that Jack and Hannah slept together. At the same time, Jack is fucking freaking out and like goes to find the condom that they used to be like, did this bitch poke holes in this fucking condom because she was using me as an unwitting sperm donor? He like fills it up with water. And what I can only imagine is the worst moment in semen producing humans life. He fills it with water and is like closing his eyes, and then he opens them and it's just water shooting out of this condom, and
Oh
I was
my
like,
god. Can I
no.
can I just say I don't know what this says about um our sensibilities as like a family, but I will just okay, moment for so I watched this movie last night with both of our parents in the room.
Oh shit.
It was great. I had a great time. And the moment that he opens his eyes, like to see the condom like leaking water in multiple directions, it fucking brought the house down, dude. We all laughed so hard. It was like we were like guffawing and cackling. It was incredible. Particularly Mom and I were like, "Gah!"
I literally in my head I can see Mom thinking that is so fucking funny. Like I don't
Yeah,
know why I can't explain it, but I'm like, yes, that is our mom in a
it
nutshell.
was hilarious. So that brought the house down. So way to go, Lynn Shelton and
Yes.
Associated Cast and Company.
Yes. But that kind of crashing together of Iris basically coming back furious saying like, Jack, what the fuck, you slept with my sister, are you kidding me right now? And
Yeah.
Jack coming out and being like, she poked holes in a fucking condom, like no one is right here and everybody is upset, like
Yeah.
everybody is upset.
Yes. Iris is
Q,
the only person who so far has not done anything wrong, with the
I know
exception of not
Iris,
share her feelings.
I know Iris is like the
Oh,
shiny kid.
and then through that interaction, Hannah reveals Iris's feelings towards Jack.
Because she
And
basically, again, shouts, I didn't know you were fucking in love with him. And it's like,
yeah, Iris
bro.
is devastated. I was like, oh my god, I feel so bad for Emily Blunt right now.
I know, I feel so bad for her right now. But yeah, and that kind of culminates in the end montage sequence where it is, shit's hit the fan. Iris and Hannah
Yes.
are still at the cabin.
I call it the Life is Sad montage.
It is the Life is Sad montage, and it's the most, I'll talk about this in my thoughts and takeaways, but it is the most like quintessentially 2010s sad girl montage, and I fucking love it. It's what I live for.
Yeah.
And so Hannah and Iris are still at the cabin, and Jack basically is like, I'm gonna fucking leave. Like, I'm out.
Yeah. I'm dipping. Bye.
I'm out. And we have this montage sequence of, which is, I think also, this is a really good use of montages because sometimes they're not always used like well.
Mm-hmm.
But this really is all of the things that it's really hard to tell. All of the like many swirling like emotions and hurt and betrayal and shame and anger and love. It's hard to tell that. Like it's hard to write that, but you
Mm-hmm.
can show it very effectively through the characters' interactions with each other. And I think in
Mm-hmm.
particular, like the sisters, how it's like you see them going from really hating each other while still sort of seeking connection, but really hating each other, or like, you know, Iris being really mad. And it morphs through the like how you kind of just don't necessarily have to say anything, but you work through those difficult feelings with your sibling. And then it kind of gets into them being okay with each other again.
Mm-hmm.
As like Jack is just like fucking being ultimate sad boy on a bike.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he has they have a great scene, Jack and Iris together, where he sort of does his best to apologize and say, this is the worst mistake I've ever made. I really wish I had not done that. I feel awful for hurting you. I didn't know how you felt, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of it, he's just like, I have to go. And she's like, are you going to be back? And he just dips because he's like,
He's just out.
I don't know. Like, I just have to not be here for a while.
Yeah, he's just
Like,
fully out. So I'm gonna read what you wrote because I think it's very funny. Evan wrote during this end montage sequence, everyone does what they feel the most comfort with in times of crisis. Hannah, art, Jack, bike, Iris, potato. I was like, fuck yeah, comfort potatoes, absolutely.
I was like, I get that. I would want potatoes too.
I get it.
I want a big pile of breakfast potatoes when everyone around me, all the people I love have betrayed me.
Yeah, they're also, oh my god, they're just, potatoes are great. Such a versatile tuber.
So good. But yeah, that whole sequence is great for all of those. You are correct. All those reasons. Everybody starts out in their areas where they just kind of have to retreat into themselves and do the things they like, they love. Art, bike, potato, and
Art, bike, potato.
Art, bike, potato. A new podcast from the Brother Sibling Movie Network.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things where, like, you know, so after David Lynch's passing a few weeks ago, maybe like a month ago, I, you know, just sort of take in a lot of interviews of him, you know, the hero of mine, hero to many. And I love how so often in interviews, people would ask him questions about stuff he did. And obviously he's like an art house, blah, blah, blah director, you know, and he'll, like, there's a great interview where he's like, you put so much effort to like build these things visually and to get something across that can't be explained with words. And then all anybody wants you to do after the movie's released is talk about it. And it's like, I did the talking. I made the movie.
The thing.
Yeah. And then the interview is like, oh, expand on that. And he's like, no.
I won't, actually.
That's literally the opposite of the point I was trying to make. So yeah, this scene does that really well. It tells the story visually through looks, and you get a really, especially with the sisters relationship, you see all the small human actions that are said mostly without words that are them, that are Iris expressing her anger and Hannah Hannah expressing her her attempts at coming back into the circle, her attempts to explain like she's sorry, she didn't mean it, she wanted to, do something.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, a few quick versions are like when Hannah comes out for breakfast the first morning after, like, Iris just walks away and doesn't pour her a coffee. But then the next morning, she, like, has, like, I don't know, like left a coffee cup out for her maybe or something. And then Hannah, like, makes her some cookies that seem to be like, you get the sense that, like, these are cookies that Iris really likes. Like, they're a family recipe that
Yeah.
Hannah makes or something. And then there's a great scene where, like, Lynn gets her art material out, and then she's just
Hannah.
doing like plain. Oh, sorry. Hannah gets her art supplies out and is just doing plein air painting, and like Iris is just kind of like sitting behind her while she does that. Like they're still not talking, but she's just like, but somehow she just like can't not be around her sister. She's like, they're
Yeah,
both
it's
having this sense of like wanting to connect again, but like not being ready to verbalize it. And then of
yeah, and
course there's a great scene where they're just sitting together, like reading books and doing whatever in the living room, just sort of existing together the way that you do with family sometimes, where you're just like, we're not talking, there's nothing to talk about, we're just existing in the same space. And Hannah finally says, hey, I'm sorry. And that's kind of like all that needs to happen, Because, of course, I think that Iris, underneath it all, also understands why Hannah did all of that. As a person who
of
she
course,
knows so
yeah.
intimately, she's like, I get why you did that. And, like, I understand. Mad about it, but I still understand. And in that sort of beautiful way that especially sister relationships seem to have, this kind of like sense of like, oh yeah, like we're gonna explode and be effusively emotionally angry at one another, and then slowly that sense of community, of sisterly community, grows back together. Like it can't help itself, it has to kind of like whoosh.
Yeah, and I think it's also very telling that like Iris can leave. She could have left the cabin and
True,
just
but she
never have
chose to
talked to Hannah again. But
she
she
chose to
chose
stick
to stay.
around.
She chose
Hmm.
to stay, and it's like
Yeah,
it's
both of them
really
did.
the both of them did, and it's really sweet to see both of them like being angry but making those little bids for connection, and then like ultimately like they are okay with each other. Like
Yeah,
they come over the course of several days, like they do come back to being okay,
yeah.
while Jack is like on his bike and just like
I
fucked
was
off.
gonna say this is really, and it's really nicely juxtaposed with Jack's journey, which is why I think even calling it a montage is like doesn't do it like even the service it needs, because it's just filmmaking. It like we think of it as a montage because it's a series of shots that compress a long period of time, but really it's just like only the shots that you need to have to tell the story. Anyway, so Jack is going on his own journey. It's interesting that it's juxtaposed with theirs because, of course, he doesn't have his brother and he feels alone.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have this connection to his sibling anymore. So it's really this whole, the sequence that involves him is really all about coming to terms with the situation he's in, which at first is about his situation with the women, but really it's about his situation not having his brother around. Because he like, there's a great moment where he's just being sad boy in a diner. This also got a great moment when he was like asleep at the diner, and the waitress was like, you want a cup, man?" And he's like, he just wakes up. He's like clearly just been like falling asleep at the diner. Um, And then there's this great moments in the montage in that sequence when he just destroys his bike, and it's
Because
like
okay, also because the bike chain fell like off the derailleur. Like it's a very easy thing to fix. Like it's
I completely understood everything about that scene.
but
I was like,
also
Yep. Sometimes it's like, fuck everything. This one tiny thing doesn't work, so the whole thing must get destroyed.
Exactly. It was one of those funny things where it was like, his bike chain, like he's switching gears, his bike chain falls off the trailer, right? Totally happens.
Yeah.
But he just like loses his mind. I mean, understandably, but it's kind of this culmination of like the anger about losing his brother, the anger at Hannah, his frustration of being like, I've been in love with Iris for so long and like everything is fucked up now and like I don't know what I'm doing with my life and I can't and I don't and so he just like throws his bike and is like kicking it and like throwing it in a dumpster and like against a wall and I was like, yeah, yeah,
I love it. I mean that scene spoke to me. I felt very personally because I don't know,
I know.
a lot of times when you have that urge to destroy something physical and just yell fuck you at it, like you're talking to the bike, but you're talking to yourself. You're talking to your brother because he's talking to his brother because he's angry that he died. He's like, why the hell did you have to die, you stupid prick? He's yelling at Hannah. He's yelling at Iris. He's just like, fuck everything. Fuck all this. I
Fuck the
hate
whole
everyone.
thing.
And really,
Fuck
I
the
hate
whole thing.
myself, And
No, exactly.
yeah, those moments are really good and cathartic. It's good. It's good to have a bike to destroy sometimes at moments like this in your life.
Yeah, and then he has the kind of end of the movie is this really sweet scene where he comes back to the cabin and basically tells Iris like well he's telling Hannah and Iris both of them like I don't know like I'm not in a good place like emotionally, financially, like anything. Like I'm not in a good place. And if you are pregnant, I am here in whatever capacity you need me to be. And also, Iris, I have been in love with you for so long. And I don't know if there is a way for us to make this weird, interesting, beautiful family work, but I'm here if you want that to be the next step. Like I'm here for it and I
Yeah,
am an imperfect person, but I am going to try my best to be the person that both of you need right now. And it is very sweet and really heartfelt and gorgeous and
it's a
um
good. It's a good man growing up moment.
it is and also being like, hey, I'm not going to try and like sugarcoat it. I'm not in a good spot, but I can
Right.
be
I
better.
kind of suck.
I kind of suck, but like I can try really hard to be better and I can rise to meet this challenge basically. Um
Yeah,
and
I
then
have
it
a soft.
ends.
I obviously have a soft spot for you know, imperfect men. Stories about imperfect men who just who just struggle with growing up and being responsible, but somehow through the thick of it, finding a way in their dumb, still boyish, immature way of trying to rise to the occasion as best they can, limping their way to the finish line. I mean,
Absolutely.
I think every man has some version of that. I know most people do, but especially just like, women, I think in our society are expected to maybe grow up quicker than men. There's an unfair societal expectations that men get to be boys longer. And when it all comes crashing down on the shoulders of you as a dude to be like, you got to step up. You're like, no one told me, it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then you just have to kind of like say, this is life, So I have a soft spot for those kinds of characters. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, you were about
And
to
it's
talk about the ending.
well, and it's very, they kind of come to this like, yeah, we're going to try and make this work. And the last scene of the movie is the three of them in a bathroom together with a timer waiting for a pregnancy test. And as Hannah's hand comes off to reveal the result, the movie ends and cuts to the credits. And it's a great way to end the movie, if we're being totally honest. I think, anyway. I think it's a wonderful way to end the movie.
Yeah, it's I've loved this trick ever since I first witnessed it for myself in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which is just
Hmm.
the whole conceit of like they're trying to get rid of the weapons. The gang of men is trying to get rid of the weapons that they acquired through this job. It's the last piece of evidence that hooks them to the crime. So they have their one friend go and do it, but then super cool guy comes in and remarks, "Hey, that," and leaves them a auction catalog. It says, "This is like a fucking that gun that you have
Yeah.
is worth like 8 million pounds or something," and they're like, it could all have been worth it as long as they hold on to the
Yep.
shotgun that they hold on to. So it like cuts back and forth between their friend trying to throw it over the bridge, but it getting caught on a ledge on the bridge, and them trying to call him on the cell phone, and then it just ends with him like holding the gun in his hand, about to drop it in the river, but also maybe about to go back and answer the phone. And like, you don't get to know how
You
it
don't get to
resolves.
know.
And I love that this movie played the same trick. I don't know. I'm sure that some people think that it's cheap, but I personally love it when movies do
I
that
love it.
because it allows you, the viewer, to interpret what it makes you think harder. It makes you think harder about
Yeah.
what you think about the characters, and it makes you, and I think it encourages discussion, which in my opinion is one of the better things that cinema is supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, I couldn't agree more. I love an unknown ending, or like
Mhm.
maybe it's this, maybe it's that. It is. It's thought provoking and it's fun.
And I think what it is that I really like it when they pull off the trick of not letting you know, but still giving you a satisfying emotional catharsis, because it's
Absolutely.
like you feel emotionally, you feel the emotional catharsis of these people are gonna be okay no matter what happens, but it also gives you the sort of like what is going to happen, and it's just fun. It's fun to imagine. It's like Jaws, right? Like, it's more fun not seeing the shark, where
Yeah,
like it's more fun not knowing, because you as the audience get to build what happens in the future for these characters in your own head.
exactly. Because yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, you get the sense, you know what? No matter what happens, all of them are going to be okay. And that's really cool.
That's your sister's sister. We'll be right back after a quick break to talk about Lynn Shelton, some production filmmaking things, and take ourselves out with our thoughts and takeaways. So we've talked about the story of the movie. Mare, I think you wanted to take us into some of the cinema stuff. How did you want to
Yeah,
introduce this?
so I did want to talk about kind of the background of the director, the writer and director of this film, Lynn Shelton, R.I.P. She died very suddenly in May of 2020 from acute leukemia.
Yeah.
Um, Really, somebody that was very much cut down in the prime of life, and
He was 53.
yeah, she's 53. She was very young. Um, she'd really only started making movies or was only really able to start making movies, given the chance to make movies, in her kind of late 30s, early
I would
40s.
say allowed herself the
Allowed herself, yes,
to make the movies. I mean, that is a constant challenge of
of
letting
course,
yourself think that you are good enough to take on this thing that is very near and dear to your heart.
absolutely. And um, she was known for these really kind of heartfelt indie movies that blend comedy and drama that focus on family dynamics. By all accounts, she was deeply beloved in kind of the Hollywood scene. Somebody that people really respected and really loved working with and really looked up to. As Evan said, After her death, the Duplass Brothers Productions and Northwest Film Forum started a grant program that is for female and non-binary filmmakers over the age of 39 who have never gotten their narrative film to come to pass. I love her work. I think she's an amazing person. She was an amazing person. And yeah, it's one of those interesting things that even though obviously there's no way that I know her personally in any way, shape, or form, the way that people speak about her with such an immense amount of love and respect and really intense grief that she passed so young is just really heartbreaking. And so, like, give it up for Lynn Shelton. She has a really cool legacy uh, to go behind her, and really, after that, I don't have a lot, but Evan wrote a lot of stuff down in his notes about Lynn Shelton. So I'll pass it to you, the actual like cinephile of our
I
movie
did.
podcast.
Well, I just as soon as I started researching Lynn Shelton, and yeah, I haven't really. This is the first movie of hers I've seen, which is embarrassing to admit. But she has done so many great indie films. Hump Day, this one, Sort of Trust was her last movie from 2019, which she finished with her then boyfriend Mark Maron. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Mark Maron too. He's kind of a great
Me
sort of
too.
voice in the world of, you know, real people in Hollywood trying to
Yeah.
do their best to keep it real and stay on top of things in that weird game. Um, but yeah, the more I looked her up, I was like, oh man. So I I do know her work mostly from her work in TV, which is where she
Mm.
overlapped with Hollywood the most, where she has directed a lot of I mean, she directed episodes of Mad Men, of New Girl, of Fresh Off the Boat. She was sort of mainly responsible for the Little Fires Everywhere, which is the
Mm.
miniseries with Reese Witherspoon and
Yep.
Kerry Washington. And yeah, she has so many great TV directing credits to her name. Um, just clearly a really good crafts person in the realm of directing. And like I said, I'm going to be super mad at myself watching this again. I hope that I look back on this watching myself 6 months from now, and I have watched all of these great movies that I didn't watch before this movie. It feels like a huge lack in my knowledge to sort of not know about her, because Lynn Shelton is really a not just a kind of inspiring figure as a filmmaker for women filmmakers. She's done incredible stuff as a writer director, getting her own indie projects off the ground in this semi verite style that she kind of uses. But also just a really successful TV director of TV shows that are super successful and pulling off the voice of all of these different kinds of shows. I mean, like Shameless, Marin, Master of None, The Mindy Project, like Love,
Wow.
like she's done all these shows. Like her ability to shift tone and be continuously hired in these positions to be the director of all different kinds of shows tonally shows like what a good crafts person she was at what she did. And I think it is because it's clear from this movie that she puts the characters first. It's the most important thing is her characters. Um, but besides being a huge inspiration to female filmmakers, she's also just, I'm realizing, such a huge inspiration to people who, like myself, who are later in their life, post, mid 30s, who still want to make a feature film. She did not get started making movies until after she was 35. And as you pointed out, the of a certain age, which I
Hmm.
believe is what the program
It's
is
the
called,
grant. Yeah.
is the grant. Yeah, as you said, gives grants to non-binary and female filmmakers over the age of 39 who want to make their first narrative feature film, which is incredible. So just a hugely inspiring figure in that way of like, it's never too late to try to get your dream accomplished, to try to tell your story. And it's also great to hear because, those of us in the art and film world who have these dreams of making feature films and who grew up on films and want to make them, uh, it's so easy to get, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Discouraged because of all of the hotshot directors who make it by the time they're 25. And I think most of us are comparing ourselves to like the Spielbergs and the George Lucases. At least I am, who like, made these huge phenomenal successes at the age of like 26 or whatever, which is crazy, like it shouldn't be that way, but it's really incredible that Lynn Shelton was this person, who was able to do that, I also wanted to mention that she was, as I said, dating Mark Maron at the time of her death, and you can hear his really heart-wrenching and funny and hysterical version of that, which I had heard before, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's her.
Yeah.
From his special From Bleak to Dark, which is on Max, and it's a great, he's just a great, despite being a kind of, he's just a great sensitive soul, and I can see why they hit it off together and became lovers later in their lives.
Mark Maron also, not long after her death, maybe 8 months after her death, had a really great interview on his podcast with Elliot Page. And it was
because they worked together.
They worked together, and it was a really beautiful two people that loved this woman a great deal and had a great deal of respect for her, and a lot of shared grief. It was just a really beautiful human interaction for that as well. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
Lynn Shelton.
Lynn Shelton, yes. Lynn Shelton was also I'll wrap up my thoughts on Lynn Shelton, but she was also nominally part of what people started dubbing the mumblecore movement, which, when you look it up, most filmmakers who get lumped into this genre don't really like the title, because really it's sort of just like, like a new wave of Robert Altman-esque cinema, where it's like the characters are allowed sort of this ability to have realistic dialogue. People kind of, whatever, Robert Altman is more specifically known for sort of characters talking over each other and overlapping dialogue, but like not being so clean about it. And also, this, as you pointed out, this sort of combination of like sad, funny, all, kind of down tempo, but, finding the comedy rather than finding comedy in the overtly crazy, like a classic comedy. It's finding comedy in the realness, and it's not trying to be funny, it's just trying to be real. And other famous filmmakers kind of in this genre that people consider would be like Greta Gerwig and maybe even Zach Braff on kind of like the more popularly known end. Anyway, Funny Ha Ha is one that gets cited as like the first mumblecore movie, which I also haven't seen, so more things for me to be embarrassed about. But she's also very inspired by Ingmar Bergman, which you can tell, especially from the way that she allows her actors to improvise. Woody Allen, whatever you have to think about Woody Allen as a person, he does have some great movies, unfortunately, or fortunately for the world of cinema. And
what are you gonna
Claire
do?
what are you going to do? And this is maybe my most embarrassed I will get of my cinephile rant, is that she's heavily influenced by Claire Denis, another incredible luminary female filmmaker who also started making her own films later in life. She was a director's assistant for many, many years, worked with Wim Wenders, famous for Wings of Desire in Paris, Texas. And Wim Wenders was like, it would be a crime to not let Claire Denis like make her own movies. Like she's got to go and do it. So later in life, she made a bunch of movies, and she made this film Beau Travail, based on a Herman Melville novel, which is considered, according to Wikipedia, one of the greatest films of the 90s, if not all time.
Jesus.
Guess what? I've never seen it, and I am so bummed out by that.
Can we do an entire season that's like movies that Evan is embarrassed he hasn't watched and movies that Mare has never seen that are like major cinematic thing? Like
That would be great.
I've never seen Jaws.
You've never seen Jaws?
No.
Wow, that's impressive.
Like I've never watched
Goodfellas.
Not Goodfellas, The Godfather. I've never seen The Godfather. Like
The Godfather?
The Godfather?
What is this? The Godfather? Issa, you're the best. It's just really nice to know that there are people in this world who do their artistic expression later in life and overcome all the odds of, being a woman in a patriarchal game, being a person later in life who just still has stories to tell. And yeah, it's just very inspiring figure. And I'm very embarrassed I don't know more about Lynn Shelton before this, but also very excited to learn more about her going forward and to fill in the gaps of my film education.
Let's do final thoughts and takeaways. I will now read a prepared statement. Your Sister's Sister is a quintessentially 2010s indie movie. Small cast, limited locations, intense family dynamics, acoustic guitar playing while the characters work through their bullshit. It is a small film that is about the big feelings in life. I kept having to remind myself to take notes while I was watching this movie. The writing and the acting absorb the viewer into the story. The three actors come to their roles as fully realized characters. It is astounding to me that this film was shot in 12 days with a $120,000 budget, which I don't even know logistically how that's even possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it was largely improvised, especially in the group scenes. This movie hinges completely on the characters' interactions and their relationships, and it just wouldn't work if the audience didn't believe in those pre-existing connections. And then part of the reason that I wanted to do an episode on this film, Brother Sibling Movie, talking about siblings this season, why I picked your Sister's Sister, is the depiction of the adult sibling relationship. Jack's kind of quote unquote eulogy of Tom's memorial and Iris and Hannah's sort of tete-a-tete over the dinner table, they illustrate what is so beautiful and so awful about siblings. That they know you. Not a polished adult version of you or a snapshot of you as a teenager or the personality you constructed for yourself in college. They know you down to your core. It's a tremendous gift and it's a horrible curse at the same time. This person sees you so completely, right? They have the power to make you laugh, to make you angry, to break your heart, to lift you up, all with a word or a look or a specific moment from your shared history. It's amazing. It's terrible. Sibling relationships defy the bounds of every single other relationship that we have in life, and that in and of itself is its own particular type of magic. And through these characters, Jack, Iris, and Hannah, we do see this heart of human connection. It's not always pretty. It doesn't always make you feel great. But in the end, if you're honest and you're willing to sit through the hard parts with someone that truly loves you, things might just be okay at the end of it. And I love this movie, and I think it's a beautiful exploration of all types of relationships, but specifically sibling relationships. And final
Hard,
thoughts and takeaways.
yeah, hard agree. I was initially reticent to get into the deep feels at the beginning of the movie. I was like, this is going to be a rough one. But the movie won me over with its deft characterization and depth of uh, feeling for the characters and the kind of relationships that are on display. It shows you what you can do when you uh, commit to making something, no matter how small, but with your full committed force behind it. And yeah, I mean, I agree with all the stuff about the characters. It's a really interesting place to take it. I think really what I got out of this movie, as I do most of the time, is just the stuff about the movie making. And I pretty much
Mm.
talked about everything I have to say about that in our little section on Lynn Shelton and sort of the production stuff. So uh, this movie has gotten me into a good headspace of getting very inspired at what you can do with a little money and an interest in making a story about characters you know in your bones getting into odd situations that are uncommon. And I really look forward to watching and appreciating more of the cinema of Lynn Shelton.
Are we ready to do a complete and total atonal shift?
Tambok na siksi. Tambok na siksi.
Vibe check. It's time for a vibe
Vibe
check.
check.
For those of you who may be new here, are listening for the very first time, first of all, welcome and thank you so much for listening. Evan and I do not rate films on a star or number based system. We rate rate films on two things and two things only. And that is, how is the story and how are the vibes? So, Evan, how is the story? How are the vibes?
The vibes, great. Once I let the uncomfortable awkwardness wash over me, the vibes got into my very bones. And I dig the story too. It's great writing, the kinds of complications that keep arising and they feel realistic. And I gotta tell you, I can't tell you how much I appreciate a movie that comes in at 90 minutes long and doesn't waste my
Dude,
time.
oh, beautiful. Yeah, I agree. It's a simple and effective story that is well told and well acted, and it just has really good vibes. It hits something at your core. It's fucking fantastic. I think you should go watch this movie if you haven't seen it. And then also, because this is the sibling season, we're also giving movies a sibling scale, 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
This to me is like top tier sibling
One.
vibes, like 15 out of 10, like amazing, perfectly observed, wonderfully acted, wonderfully written. It really struck. It struck at the heart of that particular type of relationship.
Agree. 10 out of 10. Especially with the sisters, you don't get to see much of Tom and Jack's relationship
Mhm.
in present tense and real time, but you get the sense of loss that comes with losing a sibling, especially one who I know that in a lot of brother relationships, there's kind of always sort of a even more antagonistic sort of sensitivity, but there's still love. The relationship between the Hannah and Iris, Hannah and her sister, is like just great. 10 out of 10. And it's as we've already talked about, it's great to see this representation of this these people in your life who you love so much, who you share so much history with, who know all of the good and bad things about you, and still find a way to choose to love you and accept you for who you are, no matter how much you fuck up or fuck with them.
And that's the whole fucking vibe with a sibling, man. So Yeah, this is a great movie. I hope you go enjoy it. Go enjoy a lot of other Lynn Shelton films, Mark Duplass films. It's all fantastic. All right, so social media is a thing. I am very bad at it. Evan is better at it than I am, and he has been uploading
Jury's out.
uh, our video episodes to YouTube, which you can find at Brother Sibling Movie. You can also find the Instagram that I have not been updating, and I should, and I suck at it, and I'm sorry to you, our audience, to you, my brother Evan. I'm sorry to America. Um, that also is at
America accepts your apology.
yeah, they have a lot of apologizing to do to me right now, so I don't
Yeah,
feel too bad.
you can take it. Yeah.
They can take it. But Instagram is also at Brother Sibling Movie. You can email us thoughts, takeaways, opinions, episode ideas, anything at brothersiblingmovie@gmail.com. You can find me at my also not very often updated Instagram at lawn_daddy_lives_here. Lawn Daddy lives here, underscores between the words. Evan, where can the good people find you?
Check me out on all the social medias at Art of Evan K. Check out my portfolio site of my art and videos of the same name.com. And check me out on Letterboxd as Evan Koehne, Koehne, for some dumb movie reviews.
Whoop whoop! All right. Well, more appropriate than usual, I would say. Go watch a movie with your sibling.
Go watch a movie with your sibling.
Yeah, they're great. Movies are great. Siblings are great. Put them together. What do you get? A dumb shit podcast.
I look forward to doing it again next week with you.
Fuck yeah. All right. I love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.